Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities. Welcome back to another series review, and we are here with the final season of The Bear. So, to catch anyone up on this series, if you haven't watched my previous review on the first 4 seasons, essentially The Bear is a story about a guy who is working in a restaurant and pretty much goes off the rails. Now, as we get deeper into the backstory of the bear as a whole, we have learned over the years that originally the restaurant was his brother's. His brother dies due to something to do with suicide, which is heavily hinted at in the beginning of The Bear. And over the story arc, we get to learn how that has shifted the relationship between this one individual chef and his co-workers and everything that's going on. Over the course of the last 4 seasons, we've had each and every individual learn a new skill. One has learned how to host, one has learned how to cook bakery goods, one has learned how to perfect their craft, and every single character in this show has shown their ability and their outstanding behavior towards food. Now, as we get into the 5th season, we are picking up from the climax of the one bombshell that was dropped at the end of season 4. Carmy telling Sid that he wants to leave the restaurant. However, when the progression of that begins to play out throughout season 5, we begin to understand completely why Carmy has decided to leave. He's not doing it to be an arse, he's not doing it to get on anyone's backside, even though everyone at first does begin to take it that way. He's doing that because he can't be trusted in the restaurant. He can't be trusted to keep everyone running. However, Sid is literally the hand to mouth, the kind of heart to the body of this group of individuals in the kitchen. And she has got them to the teeth, working their heart out and doing everything they can. Now, behind the scenes, we learn in the 5th season that it turns out that their uncle is still trying to fight against what's going on with the restaurant because he feels like it's losing him too much money. To make matters worse, we open this season with the restaurant getting flooded. Now, of course, this does cause a couple complications for him. For one, he can't just get rid of the restaurant. There has to be a lot of repairs done. On top of it, he begins to walk around trying to buy the air rights to the building above. There is a beautifully funny scene with the husband of Carmy's sister and a bunch of the plumbers and such trying to go around with computer to this woman Mary's house to buy the air rights. However, when that doesn't work, computer essentially tells their uncle that the only other thing they've got left to do is to franchise, the one thing that their uncle never wanted to do. But eventually he agrees and begins to have a solemn talk with Carmy over the fact that he shouldn't hate Carmy as much as he does. He just does it because he treats him a little bit too much like his brother. He also holds himself hung up on the debt that his brother left behind, and he will never forgive him for that. However, at the end, they begin to let bygones be bygones. On top of that, we watch a beautiful relationship begin to blossom between Ricky and one of the servers. This is the girl who helped him through a dinner service in a different restaurant. He also has the backing of a bunch of the other servers who have actually shifted away from this closing restaurant to work in the Bear. We also watch as our pastry chef begins to reconcile himself with his own father. However, there is a little bit of animosity between the two pastry chefs at one point in this series, which I think is a beautiful way of pretty much pushing the boundaries between the two characters. In the past, they've got along and never kind of pushed each other's pressure points, But to see them working in the same kitchen and to hit that nail where they had to just have a couple minutes apart and then to reconcile and get back to work, I thought was perfect. It's challenge, it's testing, and most importantly, it's proving that not everyone in the workplace is always going to get on. All of our chefs also find themselves absolutely booked out when our main hoster decides that he won't cancel any reservations, even though the rain is making it increasingly impossible for them to have enough food to serve everyone. Of course, this is not the rain's fault within itself, but it is the fault of the supplier not getting enough food into them during this current crisis. However, the Bears prove that they're resilient enough to come over the top and essentially fight back against the impossible odds. They managed to win at the end of the day, and that's the important thing. That they've failed, they've lost, they've loved, and they have found themselves understanding the pain of that loss and really moving forward. We even get a beautiful sentiment of Carmy finally leaving the kitchen and watching him try and address to a new firm and a new job that he wants a new life. It's about time he steps out of the firing line and into a new dawn. So, The Bear, Season 5. What would I give it out of 10? Well, as I said, they've been resilient. There is love, there is family. There is something just absolutely drawing you in throughout this whole entire series. And for that reason, I give Season 5 of The Bear a solid 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next series review. Until then, stay beautiful, you beautiful people.